I don't teach and when I decide to teach it. So even with Warren's group, we've done cutters and changeups. No curveballs, no sliders, no nothing. I will not, unless I see good mechanics, the earliest I will start teaching and talking about it, the slider, the curveball, is before their freshman year in high school. Even if they have the proper pronation for a 12-6 curveball, I still, in my head, I'm thinking, oh, they shouldn't be throwing that. The cutter is enough movement to act like a breaking ball. The changeup helps their pronation to protect the arm and develop that pronation out of that by rotating that thumb down. So that's why I teach those two pitches, and it teaches this movement and that movement. You get two different movements out of those two pitches with little to no pressure on the arm. So I always stick to that. And I get, hey, teach my kid a breaking ball. JC, my breaking ball, right?
Yep.
Right? I just don't do it. And even at age 13, 14, I won't do it unless I see the mechanics are there for it to work. Cutter, boom, is this. Turns into a low velo cut, that turns into a slider. So you are developing it, but properly, and it'll be an easy transition when they're 14, 15. Easy transition. So I don't teach it. And I would recommend, yeah, I know it's hard because it's an effective pitch.
Do you teach a sinker at all?
Well, it depends. Is it a natural sink due to two-seam
Yeah.
run? That's the same thing as that's just it's like a cutter here, but it's a so my son threw the two-seam runner. A little bit of sink to it. Yeah, and that's just a little bit more tweak on it. It's fine. It's when you're snapping this into the elbow or you're snapping this into the elbow is where it starts to, and if they're not doing it correctly. It might be good and they might throw for strikes, might be effective, might help you win games, but what's gonna happen down the road? Exactly, right? Oh, I had several friends growing up that ended up with blown out arms. Okay, so that's kind of my thing on the off speed. The changeup is a super effective pitch. It is, and by the time they're 12, they'll be throwing that thing for strikes. And then that's when you're out there competing against the big hitters. And you're like, how do we get that guy out? Throw the changeup, throw the cutter. You'll be amazed. The cutter's going to get you the ground ball. The changeup, they're going to be out in front. And they're gonna, even if they know it's coming, those big hitters from other leagues, they know it's coming. They still can't adjust. You know why? Because they're so locked into hitting that fastball because they have so many reps in them hitting fastball, fastball, fastball. That's kind of been and I took that approach to the college level, and some of my pitchers did really. Last story, and then we'll end with some questions. So I had a pitcher who was a catcher, played at San Francisco City College, blew out his knee, so he couldn't catch anymore. We were taking on anybody at De Anza because we were new coaches, and we didn't have a spot for him. But hey, we need some players. And I go, Oscar, Edgar, come out and join the pitchers. And so he started throwing, and he was throwing like 72 as a college player. And I taught him the cutter and the changeup. That first season, he was a cleanup guy, meaning game's out of hand, we throw him in for an inning or two, and he was spotting up, cutter, changeup, cutter, changeup. To make a long story short, that was a blown out knee, cut from a low-level college program. Not that we were any better at the time. October, he's got a full scholarship to, I don't want to say full scholarship, but he's got a scholarship to some school at a 4-year college in Florida. And he's now a high leverage reliever in spot situation. That means when the game's on the line and they need an out, 2 outs, he's the guy that comes in, pumps the cutter and the curve, and I go, Edgar, just do what you do. Just be you. Don't worry. And he throws about 80 now, which is nothing at the college level. And I tell him, just be you. Trust your cutter, trust your changer. But what a story. From a busted knee, no pitcher, to a pitcher in Florida now. Right? Just on the cutter and changeup alone. Well, boy, he's also had that two-seam run, right? Okay, any questions?